I've made several videos about Firefox already. I think it's one of the best browsers. It also pretty much is the only feature-rich browser that I would consider a daily driver out there that's not based on Chrome. Because one of the saddest things that's happened to browsers over the years is this kind of false sense of variety. Like, you've got Edge, you've got Chrome, you've got Vivaldi, you've got SRware Iron. But at the end of the day, these are all Chromium-based browsers. But Firefox, it has its own web engine. It's not Chromium-based. However, Firefox really doesn't have the best defaults. There's other browsers out there that have much better settings out of the box, especially if privacy is your main concern. And there's also some annoyances that Firefox has built into it. Like there's the pocket feature that pops up every time you have a new tab that just shows you, I guess, blogs and news articles and stuff. But if you really want to turn this browser into the best browser out there, you've got to do some work. You've got to do some heavy lifting kind of on your own. You can do the classic move of going to About Config, but you're going to get this scary screen here, right? Proceed with caution. And, you've got to search through a bunch of settings here to get these things right. And that can be very time consuming. And obviously it's not great for beginners. Another option is to install the ghacks user.js file, which is probably the best option as this is kept really up to date with the latest privacy and anti-fingerprinting settings. But even this can be a little bit complicated. There is a bat file that you can download to automatically do this on Windows, which is pretty much what I would recommend if you're still using Windows. There's also, I think, this updater sh. You can use that to automatically install it on Linux or macOS. I haven't personally tested that, but the issue with ghacks is that a lot of these settings, they're pretty extreme and they might break your browser for certain people depending on what it is that you're actually doing in the browser. So this might not be a very good option for you either. It's not as modular as setting everything yourself. And there's also additional configuration that you would still want to do on top of this, like installing some add-ons. Well, I found something that's even better. It's cross-platform, and it actually covers more settings than is covered by ghacks, and that is ffprofile.com, the Firefox profile maker. So here you basically get walked through a web form for the configuration of your Firefox browser, and at the end it just spits those configurations out into a zip file that you just have to extract into a new Firefox profile. And trust me, that sounds way harder than it actually is. I can just make a profile in here in a couple of minutes. So let's start. So first we have the annoyances section. Everything that's here is pretty much a good default. You might want to change the content of the new tab page to empty. But yeah, everything else is pretty much good. Oh, and same thing with autoplay. You might want to disable autoplay of video. So we hit save and next. And you can also jump in between these as well. Like you can skip them by just clicking over here. So for browser features, everything here is pretty much good. All the spooky stuff is turned off by default, all the telemetry, all the metadata reports. DNS over HTTPS is disabled by default because that uses a server that is run by Cloudflare for the resolving. So maybe you would want to uncheck that. If you trust them, I would recommend leaving it though. And this option, this page actually also disables all of the Google related stuff. So no analytics, none of that stuff from Google. Save screenshots locally. I'm actually not too sure why this one is here because I don't think this will really do anything. As far as I know, there isn't a screenshot server anymore that Firefox screenshots get saved to. I'm pretty sure that that was scrapped around Firefox 67. So then we can go save and next. So under privacy, most of these settings here are fine. You could plug in a user agent here to spoof. If we click on this link, it takes us to a page that has some helpful user agents. So you can see this is what mine is here, Mozilla, X11, Linux, blah, blah, blah. So obviously there's not a whole lot of browsers on the internet that are using that. In fact, I can scroll down here to see how much of a special snowflake my browser is. And yeah, less than 0.5%, 0.4% of people have this same exact user string. So that's pretty unique. If I go to a lot of websites, or especially more obscure websites, it's gonna stick out like a sore thumb. But up here at the top, so this is basically a Chrome 86 version running on Windows 10. So yeah, that's what most people are going to be using. That's kind of a normie user agent string. So you can copy that and just paste it into here. Now, this really isn't necessary to do it this way. In fact, there's a better way, in my opinion, to change user agent strings. You can download an extension that does this, that also supports plugging in custom user agent strings, because you might want to actually switch these depending on what sites you're going to. You can also sort of get different features and different layouts, because obviously web pages, they configure themselves based off of what user agent they're getting. So if you want it to look like how the internet would be from an Xbox or something like that, you could do that as well. But this is just going to be a proof of concept thing where to show you that you can plug in one that's going to be automatically defaulted. So block cookies, all of this stuff is good. Everything here is a good default. Disable search suggestions, you might want to do that, and also disable search keyword, you might want to do that as well. So under website tracking, again, we've got good defaults. You might want to check this box to enable resist fingerprinting, but there is a bug that's mentioned here at this link. If you follow it, it talks about how reCAPTCHA might be more difficult to do. You'll basically get more challenges because I guess bots, a lot of the time they want to turn off fingerprinting as a way to sort of circumvent being detected as a bot, but that just gets flagged by, I think, reCAPTCHA 2 and reCAPTCHA 3, where you're going to get more pages of like signs or motorcycles or whatever to click on if you've seen what a CAPTCHA looks like. So you might not want to do that if you're posting on image boards or doing anything else like that that might require solving a CAPTCHA. And you might also want to enable first-party isolation. But just like the description says, this can break third-party logins. Then we move on to security. Here, I think everything is good. Like, you can have it disable automatic updates. You might want to uncheck that so that it does enable automatic updates. That's really up to you. I personally like to have that control where I click the button to actually update it. Or just do it from my system update settings. So save and next, and then we've got add-ons. So this is the main thing that sets Firefox Profile Maker apart from Ghacks, because even after installing Ghacks, you'll still probably want to do some add-ons. So everything that you need for probably 90% of people is here. If you're going to do the advanced mode of uBlock Origin, then you actually don't really need Privacy Badger. It kind of encompasses what Privacy Badger will do as well, albeit in a more complicated way, because Privacy Badger kind of has a smart way of disabling track-ons. With uBlock Origin, it's going to be a bit more manual. We also don't really need Canvas Blocker, because we're going to be spoofing our user agent anyway. And I would recommend installing Decentralize as so that you can emulate CDNs locally. So all right, we'll go ahead and save and next. Enterprise policies, these can all just be left as default. And then you've got the installation instructions. So again, this is pretty straightforward to do. We'll just take Firefox out of full screen, and then we can go ahead and pop open a terminal. All right, and what we'll want to do is run this command here to launch the Firefox Profile Manager, or you could do this in your browser itself by just going to About Profiles, and then it'll show up over here to launch a new profile or create a new one. But when you launch the profile chooser from the terminal, you get this nice little window here. So we can go to Create Profile, and we'll just call it Test Profile. All right, so we've got that there, and then we're going to start Firefox. So now this is launched inside of a new user profile for Firefox. And then you want to go to this page, About Support. And it's going to give you this button here to open the directory of this profile that we just created, so click that. All right, so then this is all of the files for your profile. So we can just delete everything that's in here. And of course, download the profile.zip. Let me make sure that was the right name. Yeah, okay. So then open a terminal here, or you could, copy this from your downloads folder if terminals scare you, but it's really just easier to do this. Profile zip into here. I'm going to do CP, and then unzip this profile. And so there you go. It puts your prefs and everything else in the correct spot. So we can close this, close this. Should have also closed that that browser. It might actually be broken. Let me see if it actually works. Okay, looks like it's working. Start Firefox. All right, there we go. It actually did work. So yeah, you can see I've got all of the add-ons installed up here that I went ahead and chose. You might need to restart when you first do this, because some of the time it's going to have your add-ons not be up to date. So if that happens, you can just restart the browser again, and then they should be up to date. But yeah, we can go to, oh, one other thing too. There's a bit of a bug that I noticed with this. So you can see that Pocket still shows up on the new tab list. Not sure what that is all about. It's a little weird. So yeah, I don't know if it's just a bug that's in that web form there. Maybe it'll get updated. But yeah, we can go to Panopticlick to test our defenses against tracking. And also to see the user agent string, because I'm curious if that recommended string really is as common as it claimed it was on that web page. All right, so we've got good tracking protection. Let's see what the fingerprinting said. Oh, okay, it looks like that actually didn't copy either. That's strange. I'm not too sure what happened there because it was working when I tested it earlier. But like I mentioned before, this is a better way, in my opinion, to change your user agent, is just using this add-on here. So there's a lot of different presets, and I've actually had more luck with these testing it against Panopticlick than spoofing other user agents in pretty much any other way. This is the best way I've found to do it. So yeah, you can play with this, and as you can see, there's a lot of different presets that are here. This is also handy for development too. If you're trying to program something and you want to see like how your web application is going to work on like Mac OS, Android, iOS, because you can also spoof mobile platforms. I believe there's also like Xboxes and stuff like that in here too. But yeah, that's FF Profile. And of course, if you copy that zip file that was generated, you'll have that forever to deploy on any new machine or any new installation of Firefox. So be sure to back that up as well.